Hello and welcome to Chesapeake Weekly. Well, the results are in from the December 2021 virtual town meeting. During the virtual town meeting, we solicit questions from the community about anything city related, and then we work with the appropriate experts to get you the answers. You can find all those questions and answers at cityofchesapeake.net/virtual town meeting. Now, one topic we're always getting questions about is that of development. Why is this being built? Why isn't that being built? And a lot of that comes down to zoning. What is the zoning classification of that particular plot of land? That zoning determines what the owner can do on that land. Here's the director of the planning department, James McNamara, with more of an explanation.
In the city of Chesapeake, just as many other localities, there's zoning that's in place, and there's different zoning classifications. So there's residential zoning, there's business zoning classifications, there's industrial zoning, there's conservation, agricultural. And with this zoning that's in place, there are some uses that are considered by right uses. And these are uses that are considered to be compatible with the zoning, and those uses are permitted on the property without approval of city council. So for example, if you're in a residentially zoned piece of property, residences are typically allowed if you meet certain standards such as setbacks, lot coverage, drainage, so on and so forth. Typically when someone is coming in to develop something by right, they would have to go to the Department of Development and Permits to pull permits and to make sure that they comply with all the codes that are required. However, there are times when people come in and they look at the property and they feel that the zoning on the property is not what it should be. And in cases like that, they will submit an application for rezoning. And the planning department handles those applications, and what we do is we do our staff analysis, which includes departments from across the city, to make sure that first and foremost it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. But we also look at other things, so public services, the water and sewer services that are available to the site, traffic analysis, so the roadways, the access. We also look at drainage that actually will come later on, but it's discussed at the rezoning phase as well. But what we do is we compile our findings into a staff report, which is presented to both Planning Commission and City Council with our recommendation by staff. Planning Commission then has an opportunity to hold a public hearing where citizens can comment as well, and they make a recommendation to council. Then again, council has a public hearing where they will ultimately decide whether the proposed rezoning of the property should be approved or not, and they have the ultimate approval authority, so they can either approve or deny that zoning. So again, the difference between by right development, which is a development that you can do without the approval of council, and then there's also discretionary development, which is something where you need to go before city council to get permission to do that. And just a little bit further, sometimes, beyond just permitted by right uses and the need to rezone, there's also uses that we call conditional uses. And those are uses that are deemed to be incompatible from the offset with the land. And I'll give you an example. So for example, if someone's coming in and they want to operate a level 2 home occupation, so in our words, what that is something like a daycare. One of the things that we'll do is you have to file a conditional use permit, and then we're going to go through the process through Planning Commission and City Council to figure out whether it's consistent and compatible with the existing neighborhood, and then we'll impose stipulations on those conditional use permits to make sure that we're mitigating any unintended impacts to adjacent property, such as hours of operation, or limiting the number of children in an establishment, or any other type of stipulations that may be necessary to make sure that things are compatible.
Again, thanks to those really great questions that we received from all of you. We've been able to post a lot of video and text explanations on the city's website, again, at cityofchesapeake.net/virtual town meeting. There are updates on major projects, answers to utility questions, and much more. Please do check it out. And if you have questions that weren't answered, there are several ways you can get that information. The Customer Contact Center is a fantastic resource for any and all of your city-related questions. You can contact them by phone at 382-2489, that's 382-CITY, online at cityofchesapeake.net/requests, or by downloading the Chesapeake Service Request app on your mobile device. This will help you get directly to the person who can answer your questions, and it's also the best way to submit service requests, like when you need a bulk waste pickup or if you want to report a pothole. Moving on now to a visit from the governor. Governor Ralph Northam attended a dedication ceremony for a local business, proving once again that Chesapeake truly is a great place to work. Take a look.
You know, we talked earlier today, it's just so important to provide jobs for everybody in Virginia, no matter who they are, no matter where they are. And so to be here in Chesapeake this morning with Placer American, a company that's been here now for 50 years, they already have 300 employees, good paying jobs. They're adding an additional investment, a building right behind us of $53 million that will come into this area in capital investment, and 98 additional jobs. So this is a big deal for Chesapeake, but it's also a big deal for Virginia. I am especially proud of what they've done working with the community college. They have an apprenticeship program where individuals at the community college level can come here and learn this trade, learn about railroad maintenance, and then, you know, if they like that particular pathway, then they can take a job here.
Well, not only is Chesapeake a great place to work, but it's a fantastic place to play. From parks to libraries, there's always something to do. And now parks and libraries are merging with an innovative activity that brings books outside to our parks. Here's Library Director Amanda Jackson with more.
Story walks were actually created in Vermont by a public library there, and it's to partner being outdoors with your family while enjoying literacy. So it's literally what it sounds like. You walk from page to page while you're enjoying the outdoors in our beautiful parks in Chesapeake. And throughout the walk, you're going to get to read a story with your family. We have all kind of stories. Our stories are geared towards our elementary and preschool age kids, so lots of pictures, very few words. And we've got stories about little doggies and them training. We've got stories about the Festival of Colors. We've got stories about what happens when you're having a bad day. So you can find the story walks by visiting our website or just happening on them if you're visiting one of the fantastic parks in Chesapeake. We've got one right now at the Campostella Park, we've got one at City Park, and one at Deep Creek Park. But they're going to be coming to parks all across the city. The books will change, so you can visit now and maybe in a couple of months you go back, it's a totally different story. We're going to change them out as the seasons come. Want to make sure that there's always something new to discover in Chesapeake.
Very cool. I can't wait to get out there to see it for myself. We're really so lucky here in Chesapeake with all the great recreational and educational activities we have access to. For library information, head to chesapeakelibrary.org. And for parks information, visit cityofchesapeake.net/PRT. Transitioning now to a much more difficult topic, homelessness. So before the pandemic, the city partnered with local churches to make sure that those without homes had a warm place to sleep during the coldest months of the year. But the pandemic changed everything, and some of those changes were actually positive, including the extra funding for those truly in need. And with that, changes to the CAST program. Mary Riley from Human Services Department joined me in the studio recently to share what the latest is on the city's response to homeless community members. Mary, you know, last year, has it been 2 winters already that we've been dealing with COVID? My gosh. Things really switched up with how we're helping and assisting those experiencing homelessness. What is this year going to look like?
The same as last year, basically, because the CDC and HUD have given us direction that we shouldn't be putting people in shelters per se, that we should be distancing them and trying to keep them safe. So again, we will be running our hotel program this year. That's our CAST program, our Chesapeake Area Shelter Team. And our folks will be in a local hotel. Wow. And the CAST churches usually have them in their churches sleeping overnight and providing dinner and breakfast for them. And this year, like last year, the CAST churches will be providing dinner.
Okay, so they're definitely still involved, but they're not physically housing people.
Correct.
Okay.
Because one thing is we're trying to keep our church volunteers safe,
Yeah.
as well as our individuals that are needing shelter. So we're trying to keep everybody safe according to CDC guidelines.
Okay. What else does this program provide those who are taking advantage of it, those who are experiencing homelessness? So they have a warm place to stay overnight. What else do they get?
So we also have the resource center, the We Care Center for those experiencing homelessness. So they can get resources there as well. So they can go there and use our computers and get help getting employment or signing up for benefits. Sometimes we have, eye exams or can link them to other services in the community. We've taken them also to get their shots, their vaccines.
Wow.
So we make medical appointments available or help them to make those kinds of things happen. So mainly whatever kind of service that they need, we can try and fill that at the Resource Center.
How does someone get connected with both CAST and the Resource Center? If some, at one point there was a bus a few years ago that there was a meeting place and then they would go to the shelter of the week. How does that work now?
Well, now they have to call the Housing Crisis Hotline.
Okay.
And that's the entry point into whatever system we have there. So it could be the hotel program, it could be housing, or it could be a lot of different things, or it could just be resources that are available. Maybe someone doesn't need a shelter per se or housing, but they need other kinds of resources. So the Housing Crisis Hotline can assist with that and providing them and get them, whatever avenue that they need.
So again, if you or someone you know needs help with housing, your first step should be to call the Housing Crisis Hotline at 587-4202. And if you're interested in lending a hand with those in need, especially during the holiday season, visit abalist.org. Well, holiday events are really kicking off, and we've got some of the most popular events starting as early as this week. That is the second annual Deck the Halls event. It's a free drive-through light display of holiday themes sure to get you in the holiday spirit. Festive holiday themes will be projected onto the front of City Hall. So pack the whole family in the car, drive over to 306 Cedar Road. You enter the complex starting at Polly Miller Circle. The show is going on now through January 2nd from 6 to 9 each night. And new this year, the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department is adding to the fun with something they're calling Fa La La Land. So on December 11th and 18th from 5 to 9, you can walk through an interactive winter wonderland of llamas and baby goats in holiday sweaters. I mean, come on. You'll see a life-size snow globe featuring a live performer, enjoy music, food trucks, face painting. You're gonna get pictures with roaming holiday characters, a glass man, a stilt walker, and of course, Santa. It's gonna be an awesome event. And just in case you missed the annual Chesapeake Rotary Christmas Parade, we've got you covered for that too. Chesapeake Television was there to cover it all, from the fire trucks to the dancers to the floats, and of course, good old St. Nick himself. It was such a great event and a much welcome return after COVID killed all our fun last year. So be sure to check out the 2021 Chesapeake Rotary Christmas Parade, which you can find at youtube.com/Chesapeake Television. That's all we've got for this week. We'll leave you now with a look at what's coming up this week for Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.